Hi guys, welcome back to another D2 Talks video. My name is Fabio Palvelli. This week I met with Dušan Vukčevič of Vudumotion. We had a fantastic chat that I hope you guys are going to enjoy. Dušan and I already met in Vienna at the D2 conference. He was one of our speakers. His talk was so good and so motivational that we just decided to kind of continue from where we left to kind of share this experience with the people that could not be at the D2 conference. You probably have noticed that we have moved this kind of content, this kind of talks onto our D2 conference channel. This is just to kind of keep all the content relevant to the D2 conference in one place. If you are subscribed to my channel, I really appreciate that. On that channel I'm still gonna post weekly about being a designer, I'm gonna make creative videos for those of you who are interested. The D2 conference channel will be dedicated to the D2 talks and the most relevant info regarding the D2 conference. Enough of me blabbling, enjoy the video of Dušan. Before we start, I just wanna thank you for taking the time because I know this was short notice. I was actually supposed to, I have a calendar and today I was supposed to have somebody else on the channel, but they canceled this morning. So you were not a second choice, it's just that, you know, I have to manage my time and I have to put everybody inside this show because I think it's going to work. I like the fact that people are getting engaged very quickly with everything that we're doing. So, you know, I'm happy to give a little bit back to the community by sharing the knowledge. And I remember from your talk at the D2 conference that the stuff that you said, some people found it very motivational. So, you know, we understand that not everybody can come to the conference, so maybe sharing a little bit of that knowledge, it would be beneficial also for those who could not afford to be there. Anyway,
of course. Thanks so much. Thanks so much for inviting me to do this, man. It's a great honor.
Dude, you rock, and I'm never tired to tell that to all the people that ask me. By the way, where is your daughter?
Oh, let's bring her here, huh?
Yeah. Ah! Oh my God, she's so precious. Hello.
Hey, hello, Fabio.
Hello.
You're so smiley.
It's something in English.
But she understands what I'm saying. My God.
Yes. She speaks, Mom. We teach her English a lot.
Okay.
Well, let's start before she changes her mind, huh?
Sorry guys, editing Fabio here. I'm going through the footage and I realized that I forgot to put a little piece that Dušan sent me separately regarding something that is happening in his life, but I don't want to say it. So I'm just gonna put it there and then the video is gonna continue. Sorry for the interruption. Editing a video like this can take 10 hours, so allow me to make some small mistakes from time to time. Alright.
Soon we're gonna have another baby, so it's gonna be even more crazy, but I love it.
Alright, you know what? I'm just going to ask you this because I see a lot of people struggling with the topic. But you know, especially now seeing you with your family and with your daughter, what it's like to be a freelancer and what made you want to be a freelancer?
Alright, she's off.
She's gone. But probably, hold on a sec. Before you answer this question, I should make a quick introduction about yourself.
Yeah. Alright.
You are an artist from Slovenia. I started to follow your work because you're also a Cinema 4D user. So, you know, this puts us kind of in the same box in a way as users. I'm not saying that I'm as good as you. I really like your work. The fact that, you know, it's the fact that, you know, you the way you work in terms of like composition and everything, the stuff that you mainly do, it's interior projects, interior visualization. I know that you work on your own, right?
That's right.
You're based in Slovenia, you're basically a one-man show, and this is probably the reason why I asked you, you know, what made you go into freelancing? And how did you get started as a freelancer?
Well, freelancing is, you know, it has its benefits and it has like drawbacks, and usually it's funny because usually have the negative thoughts about freelancing is not being certain what's going to come next. You know, am I going to get a paycheck next month? What am I going to be doing next month? But to me, that's actually very exciting. That's interesting. That's what keeps me going. You know, I don't know what's going to happen, and I really like that. You know, I have no idea what I'm going to do next month. So that's like, I've tried working in a studio, and it kind of didn't work out for me. So I can't remember. Well, I always wanted to have like my own company, or I would like to freelance, but I didn't jump to things. I took things very slowly. So I finished school. Actually, that has nothing to do with what I do, but I finished school and started looking for a job related to CG, and got a job somehow. Actually worked for free for a long time, and got a job in the design. Then I got a job in the basically in animations and 3D. But you know, it just I was really cautious. You know, I wanted to make a portfolio with good visualizations and animations, and I wanted to basically wanted to have some money saved before I started. I wanted to have some clients coming in, so that kind of seemed important to me, not to, you know, start with nothing and see what happens. You know, I wanted to make sure that everything's going to be fine, because I want to do this for a very long time. So yeah, I was actually very careful.
That's the dream for everybody. But you know, I'm really asking you this because this is probably the question that I get asked all the time, you know. And sometimes I really think, I don't know, I think that people should really spend a little bit more time also analyzing the aspects of being a freelancer, other than, you know, to say, okay, I am good enough technically, now I'm just gonna jump into the world of work and I'm gonna see what's gonna happen. And I think this is where the problem very often exists, you know, because I think there are some people that do it very successfully, like you, and sometimes I really bring the example live. I say, look, there is this guy, try and get in touch with him. He's a one-man show in the middle of a forest in Slovenia, and he does it, you know, greatly. If something is not working for you, then probably you should look at those people other than ask yourself if you're good enough or if you're not good enough. Because, you know, at one point I think that the artistic side of things detaches itself from what the job is. I don't know if you can agree with that.
Yes, of course, absolutely. I mean, that's actually something now the artists actually enjoy. Everybody wants to do what they love to do. Like 3D artists would like to do 3D all day, but when you're a freelancer, there's a bunch of other stuff you need to be thinking about. So sometimes it's like 30% you're doing 3D and 70% you're like working on a project, communicating with a client. You know, it's a lot of that. I mean, for me, I studied economics, and it kind of comes in handy working with clients, you know, knowing how to treat clients well. For me, it's always, I've always been, my rule has been, clients need to be very happy with my work. Mm-hmm. Even if I have to work extra hours, even if I have to work a couple of days more, I don't care. I want the client to be happy. And if I'm happy with the client, I want them to be returning clients. I want them to come back to me for more projects. So I'm relationships with companies that I like working with. You know, if there are companies that just we don't fit very well, I don't know, or you know, we can't. We make a project work, client is happy, but you know, I prefer some clients more than others, and it's usually based on the project that they have. I like it when I get a project that gets me excited, you know, like a very cool project that I would like to show later when the project is finished, you know.
But do you manage to stay excited about projects for the entirety of a project, or does the project all of a sudden get boring?
It's always ups and downs, you know. It's usually you're very excited, and then slowly, oh God, why did I do this? You know? And then actually it's not so bad, and it keeps going up and down. But you know, when I see the client is happy with my work, that's very rewarding. Plus, you get paid, so that's extra reward. So yeah, I mean,
that's the real reward.
But that's something that's actually very important, because when you're a freelancer, like I mentioned in the beginning of the conversation, it's you don't know what you're gonna do next month, so it is kind of scary. But when you have a couple of studios, the companies that you work with, and they're happy with their work, it's just a matter of time before they're gonna reach out to you and call you if you're available. So it's important to keep all the clients you work with in a good relationship, make them happy with what you do, have reasonable prices, and yeah. So when you have like a bunch of those companies around, you can sleep easily, more easily,
Yeah, I like that. Actually, there will be a talk, one of the next talks that I booked with another person, which is actually not an artist, is an architect that has built basically his success on a very strong communication that he has of his own projects, and he takes care of all the visuals himself. I'm not gonna say who is that, but what I can say is that the conversation that I used to have with this person was always like, the project is of the client. The client comes to you because he wants his own project. And I was like fresh out of university, and I was like, no, that's not what we learned at school. We are architects. We need to make our own great project, and the client needs to like that. But actually, the business reality of things is much different from that. You're offering a service, even though you might consider yourself an artist, a technician, or whatever. But you're doing something for somebody that is paying you to do that kind of stuff.
For sure.
And to be honest with you, I go back to those conversations with that guy, and I'm like, I wish I was a little bit smarter back then.
Yeah, I mean, it's always tricky, like somebody really wants something really bad, and they're gonna pay for it, but you kind of know this is not gonna work, but you can either say, I'm not gonna do it because this is not gonna look good, or you can say, screw it, I'm gonna do it, and you pay me, I don't care. So what's the thing that artists usually do is try to suggest, like, kindly, that this is maybe not the best idea, or like I heard in a previous interview of yours, like you can have two versions. You can have their idea, and you can have something that you come up with and show them that they can decide for themselves what they like better. So, but that that depends on what kind of job you're doing. If you're doing like a 5-minute animation, you're not gonna go and make a 5-minute architectural animation on your own. Yeah. That also depends on what kind of job it is. But that's always a bit of a tricky one. It's also hard to get into the project. It's hard to get yourself really involved and excited about the project if you don't like the idea from the start. So you're like working, and you're like, oh God, what am I doing? This is crazy, And usually, I think the result may not be as good as something it's really like a really good, cool architecture from an architect. You really enjoy working on it. But like I said, you can either say, this is not cool, I'm not doing it, or I need money, I'm gonna do this. Whatever you say, you're gonna get it, no problem at all. So I did both, and I still do both. So as long as the client is happy, and I usually say, like, don't tell anybody I made this, or I'm surely not going to show it in my portfolio because I don't like the design or whatever.
We have all been there, man. Listen, out of curiosity, we are not following a straight line. How did you get into 3D? I mean, you just say that you studied economics.
Yes.
And then how did 3D happen?
I was into computers since I was a kid, but so I was following that path. I was following that goal. I wanted to do something in life that involves computers. I like creating new things, researching, doing some stuff, and it just happened so that I met 3D. I started doing web design, and I got a job at the TV station doing first editing. Then I got into animation, so that was Effects 2D animation. And every time I open the composition in After Effects, I always like switch to the 3D scene and always put layers back into 3D. And just I guess that my brain works that way. Everything I started doing involved some 3D rotations, animation, something. So I started using some plugins. They were okay, not very good. So it was just a matter of time before I opened up a 3D program. And like it was scary at first, like all the things I had no idea what to do. At the time, very limited resources, no tutorials. So I like read a bunch of books and I didn't really know what was happening there. You know, some bounces and some reflectances and global illumination discussions, and like that was crazy.
Global illumination discussions.
Yeah, photons and stuff like that. So I was like, I'm never gonna learn this, and I really found it hard to learn it. And eventually, I guess I spent a lot of time learning stuff that doesn't really come in handy at all. Everything about render ranges, do everything on their own, so you really need to think about that.
Yeah, a lot of things have changed, huh?
Yes, of course. Yeah, so much online resources, stuff like that. And great. I mean, it is. I believe it is a lot easier to learn things, but it's kind of almost getting to the point where you need to really find good resources, because there's a lot of stuff online. You can waste time on some tutorials or whatever and not learn much from it. So,
but I think this is slowly happening. Like, you know, the internet is basically dividing itself between the people that care about the stuff that they want to do and they are willing to spend money to learn the good stuff. There is a lot of people that are selling crappy stuff to these people that want to learn. There's people that are selling very good tutorials, and you see that the levels of these two people are going like, and you know, the bad ones are being left behind. They're trying to climb on mirrors whilst the others are basically working.
Yeah, that's right.
Dude, you just mentioned, you know, that you started to do 3D, but was there any like special artist that you remember looking at the work and saying, oh, this is like what I want to do? Or like, is there now some artist that it's an inspiration for you? Or
yeah, I mean, I'm pretty much going to say the same thing like everybody else. Alex Roman and Third of the Seventh. It was
I would have not thought that though, because I mean,
really?
Yeah, it's I don't know, your work is of course, you know, very good, very realistic, but it doesn't have that cinematographic feel like, you know, Alex Roman. Yours, it's more like, you know, the stuff that you find in catalogs, extremely clean, extremely, it's like, yeah, you know, it really feels like...
But look, there's his book.
Yeah, okay.
I did. I mean, it's I don't have exactly, I didn't follow his style, and I never do that actually. I I also like very much is Bertrand Benoit. I like his work a lot, but I also don't try to replicate him at all. This is something like I tried to do from the start, because I think if I start copying an artist, I might do similar things like he does, or I might do things that people that follow their path might do the same thing or similar things. So I might ending up having renderings and style similar to other people. Yeah. So what I do is I take references and inspirations in photography, films, and more or less going outside and looking at the real world, traveling and, you know, seeing places. I think that's better because they had the same references, and that's what they come up with. And I'm like looking at the world just like they did, and I want to see what I come up with on my own.
Yeah.
You know? So, but basically, inspiration itself is, for me, when I have no idea how to do something creative, whatever, I'm not gonna really go online, search for things. I'm not gonna go outside walking and thinking about it. What I do is I sit down in front of the computer and I start working. I just sit down and I start. And I start with a blank head and I had no idea what I'm gonna do. But I just start. and I start modeling something, putting some things together and connect it to something else, and I get an idea, and then I get, hi there.
No, sorry,
And,
they didn't know. They didn't know.
it's fine, it's fine. So I start doing something else, and that triggers another idea, and that triggers another idea. So I keep coming up with new stuff, and suddenly I have an idea what I want to do. You know, it's just the way.
I love this. You know, on my YouTube channel, I think that this video is going to be published on the D2 conference channel. But on my own channel, I do a lot of videos where I talk about, you know, strategies for productivity, especially if you're an artist. And very often one of the things that I get asked is, how do you get so much work done? And I can relate to what you just said. Windows wants to delete itself during the conversation. No, that's not good. So, you know, the one thing that I can relate very much to what you just said is the power of doing. Like, you know, a lot of people very often they say to me, yeah, but how do you do this? You know, there is no time for doing this. And I'm like, the time that you're taking to asking me that question, you could have at least start, you know?
Yes.
And if you do start, you kind of like, you know, it's like pushing, say, a rock towards the edge of a drop, and the more you push, the more you get closer to that edge, and all of a sudden that rock falls, and you know, things start to move on their own. And I think there is a lot of power into this, you know. And I think that the problem is that too many people find the excuses in their head to like postpone things slowly and wait until you know it's too late for them to say, oh well, you know, that ship has sailed, I cannot do that stuff anymore because I actually now don't have the time. But you know, I think that what you just said is probably something that every artist should have written in their rooms, you know, just do something. It's as simple as that. Yeah,
it's simple, but it's actually hard to convince yourself to do it. No, the thing you made a pretty good point there as well. I mean, it's something like I've learned to do is when I start a project, I like to. I never wait like for a deadline. You know, oh, I still have time. We have 2 weeks deadline.
Yes.
I start freaking right away. I mean, right away. We just said, okay, that's much money. Okay, we're done. We cancel our call and stop our call, and I'm already starting to, you know, put things together, opening folders and stuff like that. I'm starting already. I sometimes what I do is also, I already talked about this a couple of times. I start the same second, you know, I start throwing things together, and I even send the client like a first draft, and they're like, what is this? They're like, this is the project. So they're like, wow, this is great. You know, we just started and he's already intensely working on it. So he's happy about it because, you know, we're surely going to hit the deadline, get it done before the deadline because he's already working on it. And I feel better because I already started. Yeah. Actually, you know, I know all the tasks necessary to complete the projects, and I feel better going to, you know, sleep knowing that I already started, already made the first steps. You know?
Yes, you feel accomplished.
Yes, you know, it makes me feel better. I actually feel bad when a day goes by and I wasn't very productive. I feel shitty, you know, I feel really bad. It sounds nerdy and all, but I actually got to that point.
I'm 100% with you. This morning I wanted to go running, and then I was like, oh no, you know what? My cousin is coming visiting. I'm gonna go with him in the afternoon. And then when he came, we just went to a restaurant eating and we didn't go running. So, you know,
okay.
that's a productive, and actually, you know, the reason why I really pushed for us to have this conversation tonight was so that I can go and sleep feeling better about myself, because at least
Nice.
I got something done, you know what I mean?
It's funny how we feel, think alike, like almost identical.
Dude, listen, we are running out a little bit of time. I have a couple of questions that I still want to ask you.
Okay.
This is something that I ask to everybody that I did the interviews with. Say that somebody comes to you looking for mentorship. You know, say a young artist or somebody that is trying to get started. And he tells you, tell me, what should I do, what should I not do, what would you tell to that person?
It's a list of things I would tell them, but I mean, the most basic is like work hard, and not only work hard, you should work smart. You should see where you spend much more energy on learning new things and whatnot. And the thing I notice, the people are starting out, they get depressed over the fact that they ask me, how long did you work, or how long did it take you to be like creating images like that? And it's tough for me to tell them. It's like 15 years, 17 years, it's nuts, but in reality, it's not like that. It's if you take, it's good for them to have a clear goal. It's good to have a clear goal. What you want to be world's top architectural visualizer. That's beautiful. That's a great goal. But you can't think about that goal all the time. You have to make small steps. Small steps, and when you achieve that step, that small victory, you should celebrate. You should feel good about yourself. You're making progress, and you should keep building those small steps, and just have to make sure that those steps are in the right direction towards the goal you want to achieve. So that makes it a lot easier, like thinking about learning something for 5 or 7 years is very depressing, but in reality, you can learn something in 3D really fast. You can visualize something in a matter. I think in a year, you can already make a good rendering, The biggest...
We're not done yet. Close the door. Hold on a sec, because this is never gonna happen. Stop.
Oh no.
I had to close the door, otherwise they keep... Now, this is what happens when you have family visiting.
Yeah, it's cool. It's cool. I like that. I actually like when I'm working. I like people coming in all the time. My daughter keeps running in and out. Sometimes I don't even hear her, and I turn around, I see a bunch of toys in my office. Like, when did this happen? But I love it. It's great. Yeah. I mean, yeah. So, yeah, but also one thing that's very important that I figured out a bit maybe later than I should have was learning about photography, composition, colors, things that don't feel like they relate directly to 3D, but they do. What you do is actually take pictures inside a 3D program, right? So you have like a beautiful house, and you take a crappy picture, doesn't look that good anymore, So that's like a 50% of the job, So that's something I learned later. I got a camera and I started.
I'm 100% with you.
Yeah. So things like that,
I'm 100% with you, because when I teach myself how to make renders, because I teach at the university as well, or taught in the past. At the moment I'm on a sabbatical. When I was showing people, this is how you take a picture and this is how you do it, very often the problem is that people don't understand why you're showing them that stuff, and it takes a little bit of time and realization to get to that point.
Yes.
Yeah, I guess it's a natural process, probably. I don't know. The thing is that now I understand personally, for instance, the things that I should have learned. Like, if I could go back in time, I would probably study filmmaking or even acting, because you can actually dig deep into emotions, and emotions relate also to the way you think and imagine things, I don't know.
Right.
Maybe I'm just blabbling.
I'm thinking when I'm looking at my old renderings, I consider it like a eye training. You have to train your eyes to see things. You just when you start, you don't see things. It's impossible. But when you get really deep, when you start looking at millions of renderings and you do a lot of projects, you start to see things that you didn't see before. And those kind of things make projects better or more realistic or whatever. It just that's the one thing that I guess it takes a bit of time. You can learn the tools and everything. It just takes time to get that feeling, like your eyes, I guess, get adjusted to some things that you can make, I don't know, better, realistic for images, so.
Listen, since we are running out of time, I'm just gonna ask you this last one question. Any plans related to the future? Any technology that gets you curious, that you think you will try? any plans to try and change anything about your work, directions you want to move to?
Yeah, I mean, I like working on a computer, but I recently started doing some talks. There's this one called D2, not sure if you heard of it. I was invited, and I really appreciate it, by the way. And I did a couple more, and I kind of like it, and I'm planning to do a bit more of those. I have some planned, and I teach in university and schools, so I kind of like try to get young people to get excited about 3D. Try to help them get to do this, because I think there's a future in this industry. And I also do some tutorials now. Recently, like a couple of months ago, I started on Patreon. So I learned a lot from a lot of 3D artists, and this is my way of kind of giving something back. Technology-wise, I started working on a short film with my friend, the director John Robson from Los Angeles, on a short film. Doing a VR thing. It's a VR short film, so I do a lot of Oculus things now to learn about that. So that's very interesting. One thing that I wanted to do for a long time, I started a long time ago, was real-time rendering. And at the time, like a couple of years ago, I wasn't really happy with the results, but now I see that has changed. So I would like to do more of that stuff in the future, because it looks very, very good. Yeah, but otherwise, I always like to improve on my work. New tools, new techniques, trying to figure out better approaches, better ways to do projects. So learning more about photography, compositions, interior design, architecture, whole bunch of things. But, easy does it. Like I said before, step by step, and, we'll see where that takes us, right?
Oh, dude, I cannot wait to see what you're gonna publish.
Yeah, I mean, of course. Yeah, I mean, I always got something going on. It's client jobs, and I always find time for personal projects. It's important to me. For me, it's very important. I have to do my own things to keep myself happy and keep my portfolio happy with the new stuff, So it has to be done. Great sleep, right?
If people want to find you, where can they get you? Social media, anything that you want me to share so that they can come and see you?
Yeah, I think I'm everywhere, and it's always Vudumotion. It's on Twitter, it's on Instagram.
I'm gonna put it on the screen.
Yeah, it's I'm all over the place, and I try to be active as possible everywhere on the forums and Facebooks and stuff like that. So it takes a lot of time, but it's great to be in touch with the community. So
of course.
If anybody has any questions or whatever, feel free. I like to help everybody.
Dude, listen. We are a little bit over our time. I just want to thank you very much for doing this. It's always a pleasure when we catch up. We had a chance to meet face to face in Vienna once. Then you came to the conference as a speaker. I really hope to see you now in Slovenia. Hopefully, we'll see each other again in Vienna at the D2 conference again. I just want to thank you so much for the time that you took. I really hope that people enjoyed this talk as much as I did. I guess I'll see you the next time.
Yeah, thank you so much for inviting me, and I was excited all day long, looking forward.
I was excited.
It's always fun when you're around, so yeah, I'm really looking forward to meeting you soon. It will be soon, I promise.
Yeah, I know, I trust you. We're not gonna say anything else.
All right. Okay.
Dude, have a good one.
You too. See you soon, buddy.